Good morning and welcome to another segment of My Tea for the Week. It's your girl Valerie Locust, and I hope you already got your tea. I've been waiting on you, girl. You know I got something to say. But today we want to talk about the name change. And we live in such a fast moving, ever evolving world until a lot of times things we do, we don't even think about it twice. We don't even give thought to it. We just do it because it seems like it's the natural thing or the normal thing to do. Something just as simple as the name that we give our children. We don't think about what those names might be associated to or the spirits that might be connected to those names. But if we took note from the Word of God this morning, we'll find out that they didn't just name their children's just haphazardly some kind of names. No, no, no. Every name that they named their children was associated with something phenomenal. For instance, Ichabod. That child was given that name because God had departed from his people. The name Emmanuel, which was given to Christ, meant God is with us. Even the name Aaron, and when I named my son Aaron, I had no idea, but Aaron meant strong. Isn't that something? So names are truly very important. For instance, when I was young and I was having my first daughter, I didn't have a clue what to name her. And at the time, me and my best friend was trying to come up with names and things like that. I knew I didn't want just the old regular traditional name. I knew that. But I didn't know what I really wanted to name my daughter. So my friend one day, we were sitting down going through some names and things, and she said to me, "What about Tequila?" Now, I had never heard of the name Tequila. But when I heard that name, I was like, man, that's cute. Oh, I like that. That's beautiful. I think I'll go with Tequila. So instantly, I started trying to put another name, a middle name with Tequila, and I couldn't, everything I tried to put with it, it didn't sound right, didn't match it or whatever. And do you not know, I didn't know at the time, but God dropped the name Von Shea in my spirit. I had no idea what that name meant. Don't know where that name didn't know where that name came from. But I just out of the blue, it was like Tequila Von Shea Bedingfield. That was it. That was it. I love that name. So that's how she came up with Tequila Von Shea Bedingfield. Now listen, as I said, I had no idea what tequila meant, where that name derived from. I knew nothing of the name other than in my mind that it was cute. It was a pretty name. But from time to time, when I would take her places or I would take her to the doctor or things like that, somebody asked me, what's her name? I'd say, oh, her name is Tequila. And they would say things like, Tequila Sunrise, still no clue. Or, that must have been your favorite drink. Did you ever drink the worm? Did I drink the what? The worm? Are you kidding me? Girl, listen, y'all, I was clueless. But on the other side of that coin, like I said, I had no idea what the name Von Shea meant. But let me tell you what that name. I guess God probably was saying, Lord, what, what in the world is this silly woman doing? Y'all, I'm telling y'all, I had no idea. But he gave me the name Von Shea. This is the truth. And when I looked up the name Von Shea here when I was doing getting ready for my podcast this week, the name Von Shea said unique, it said confident, it said eloquent, and it says one who is eager for knowledge and an intense desire to do something worthwhile in life. Now listen, any of y'all who know tequila, that sums her up in a nutshell. So names are important, y'all. Names are so important. And I can understand now why God said, in all your ways acknowledge him. Why? So he can direct our path. Because we don't have a clue. Girl, we make messes coming and going. And then we have to have him to clean them up. That's true. But we can even go further than that. What about the story about Saul? Now, Saul was a Pharisee. He was a strict Pharisee. He believed in the law. He believed that everything he did was right. even down to persecuting and killing and imprisoning the Christians or the people of God. He did this. That was his job, to go out and seek Christians, to kill them, to put them in arenas, to make sport of them, while the lions would tear them to pieces. He really thought he was doing the right thing. But the word said that on his way to Damascus, he had what? An encounter with God. The encounter was so forceful and so strong till it did what? It knocked him off his horse. See, there's no way for you to have an encounter, a true encounter with God, and nothing happens. You stay the same. But this thing changed Saul's life so much so, until after he had that encounter, the word said that his name went from Saul to Paul. Now, Barnabas had to come and get him. Because why? He had scales at that point on his eyes. He was blinded for 3 days. See, when we don't have Christ in our lives, y'all, we are walking around blinded, thinking we see and just as blind as we can be. But Barnabas, after he took Saul, whose now name was Paul, to the other apostles, they were reluctant to receive Paul. Why? Because Paul's name before it was changed was Saul. And they knew that Saul was attached to killing the Christians, killing the saints. So they didn't trust that. They didn't want him to be a part of who they were, because they didn't trust him, because his name was attached to the negative things that he did to the Christians. But what Paul did, Paul began to preach about Jesus. He no longer was in pursuit of the Christians. And Barnabas, I guess afar off, was watching him just to see, when the shoe was going to drop. But the shoe never did. And after a while, Paul had to have Ananias to lay his hands on his eyes so that he could see. And the Bible said that once Ananias did this, it was as if scales fell off of Paul's eyes. See, when we come into the presence of God, I don't care what our names were. There's just no way that we can remain the same. See, before we had our encounters with God, some of us was called dumb, we was called stupid, we were called ugly, we were called hateful, we were called prideful, we were called whores, we were called liars, untrustworthy, all kinds of stuff. But now, because of our encounter, because of our Damascus experience with the King, now we're called holy. Now we're called new creatures. Now we're called the beloved. We're called virtuous women. We're called courageous. We're called fearfully and wonderfully made. Isn't that something? And just like Paul, y'all, even though it took him a while to be accepted by the other apostles, because they kept saying Saul, 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 but he didn't get mad. He didn't get angry. He didn't throw up his hand and say, "Oh, forget it. They ain't going to accept me. I'm going back to doing what I was doing. Let me just throw a net over all of them and drag them on right on back to Rome." No, he didn't do that. Paul kept right on doing what? Preaching the word of God. And after a long time, after they saw that the other shoe wasn't going to drop, it was then and only then that they took him in as one of them. So what am I saying today, Valerie? All I'm saying to you today, ladies, is don't get irritated, frustrated, upset, angry, mad, go to cursing people off and bending your neck when they keep trying to call you the name before you had your encounter. No, don't do none of that, ladies. Don't go back to saying, well, they keep calling me this, or let me just show them. I guess that's who I am. No, you're not. If you have given your life to Christ, honey, you are a new creature. Just keep on walking in the direction of the new you. And eventually, just like they did Paul, your actions will speak so much louder than their words. So I'm not going to hold you so much today. I just wanted to drop by and just to try to encourage you, ladies. to just keep going in the directions in which you're going. Everything will work out just fine. And also, in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, listen, if you haven't taken the time to do so, ladies, listen, please make sure that you are taking care of you. Do those 2-3 minute a day breast exams. Make sure you are scheduling your yearly mammograms, because we can't afford to lose another you. You see, this is my baby, Shalonda. I lost her at the age of 36 years old to breast cancer. And there's hardly a day that goes by that I'm thinking about something she did, something funny she said, just her loving, kind ways. But you know, ladies, we have to do our part. And I don't want to see anybody, any other mother, sister, aunt, grandmother, I don't want to see any other woman go through this, what we had to endure. So please take the time, ladies, to take care of yourself and do the necessary things to try to help prolong our lives. Listen, I'm your girl, Valerie Locust. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And listen, as usual, love yourself, love God, love one another, and as always, cheers to the new and improved you.